everyone, it's Ashley. Welcome back. Today I have a Slimline mixed media background card to share with you. I will be using the Monster Love stamp and die set along with these Slimline card panel dies. I've chosen to use Bristol smooth paper for my background. Since I'm going to be using a lot of different inks and paints, I definitely want a nice thick background that can handle it. You could also use watercolor paper too. I went with Bristol Smooth because I wanted it to be a smooth finish. Since I'm going to be doing a lot of mixed media, you're definitely going to want to have an old cardboard box or splatter box or something to catch all of your mess in one spot if you don't want to be cleaning it up. So I'm going to start out with these Distress Oxide sprays. There will be no ink blending in this video, which is kind of cool. You can get some of those same results in different ways. And so you saw me shaking it side to side. You want to do that if you're using these so no ink comes and sprays out the top. I've had that happen, so I know from experience. And now I'm just kind of spraying each color in different spots so I get some of that color evenly around my whole card base. So the cool thing about this Distress Oxide spray is it has both pigment and dye properties. So as you add ink in and spray it around, you're building layer on top of layer. And I will go in between and use my heat tool to dry it, and then I'll continue to spray on top of that. So I don't really get that mud look. I mean, if you are doing this and it looks like mud, it's going to dry that way. So I am just kind of spraying all around, then I'll do a dry, and then I'll spray a little bit more. And now I just wanted to shake it fast. So if you are going to do that, just put something over the top of it so it doesn't squirt out the top when you don't want it to. So I'm just going to continue to spray all around, kind of get rid of that kind of halo effect that the sprayer can cause sometimes, and just keep going until I like what I see. Next, I came in with my water sprayer and just kind of sprayed around and made some splatters, some big ones and some small ones, and then just picking up any excess water with my paper towel. Sometimes that can leave a cool effect that's different than drying it with a heat tool. So now I'm just kind of finishing up with my Distress Oxide sprays, spraying a couple more little areas that I want to brighten up, and then just quickly drying them with my heat tool, and just trying to dry my background overall. So now that I'm done with that, I took some Ink on 3 liquid pixie dust, mixed it with some water, and then I'm just taking my paintbrush and my finger and splattering that all over the background. If splattering this all over the background is too messy for you, you can always take that brush straight to paper and do little dots too and get the same look. Okay, so now I have that part of our mixed media background done. I love how it creates kind of a cosmic galaxy background, and you can do this splatter on almost any type of colors. It will show up on any background. So next I'm coming in with some gouache paint. I actually made this paint palette with tubes of gouache. Gouache is like an opaque watercolor. It's a little bit thicker and it's usually dries more opaque. So I'm coming in with one of the whites, mixing with a little bit of water, and then I'm going to splatter that all around the background. So when I first splatter this, it turns out nice and bright, and that's what I was hoping it would stay with. But as it dried, it kind of absorbed into that background because that Distress Oxide spray is still a little bit moist, just because oxides take quite a while to dry. It still makes for a really cool background, and I would do this again. You'll see towards the end of this video, I do something else to kind of bring some of that bright whiteness back. So you can see here what I was talking about. It just, as it dried, kind of blended in, which still, when you look at it, it makes for a really cool mixed media background and helps build up and add more dimension to that background. Next, I'm going to bring in our little monsters. Since I wanted to focus on the mixed media technique in this video, I went ahead and stamped, die cut, and colored all of these little guys out. Using my Spectrum Noir Tri-Blend alcohol markers, using a combination of magenta colors and coral colors. I wanted to kind of keep them all in the same color family and all kind of monotone colors since I knew the background was going to be very busy. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. I made my background bigger so I could kind of decide where I wanted to had the die and kind of what parts I wanted to be on that die panel. Next, I added some foam adhesive to these little monsters and adhered them to this card panel. I love how they can hold the little hug me and miss you sentiments, and that's the only sentiments I'm going to use on this card. Next, I die cut out these solid pink and black cardstock pieces to layer onto my mixed media background. And then in the die set, it comes with these little hearts. So I cut out 2 sets of those because I decided I wanted to bring in a little bit more of the coral color just so it all blends together really well. So once I have all of those cut out, what I'm going to do is actually spray them with my Distress Oxide that is that coral color. Now I realize I used a lot of that Distress Oxide spray for those little hearts. So if I were to do this again, I would probably just spray a little bit of that straight onto my glass mat and then swipe each heart die through it to get it covered, and I would use probably a lot less ink. Now I'm coming back in with my Ink on 3 liquid pixie dust and a paintbrush, and I am just going to brush some of that shimmer on top of the hearts. And since I still have a little extra left, I'm just taking that in and adding some more dots all around my background. So you could leave it like this, but I decided that I really wanted some of that bright white in the background that I tried to do with the gouache that blended in. So I'm coming in with some white acrylic paint, and this is just the little kind that you can find in the bottles at your local craft stores. And I'm just coming in with this little kind of pokey tool stylus and creating some dots. If you had those little kind of ballpoint styluses, that would work great too. I do have one of those, but it's currently MIA, so that's why I'm using this. The little monsters here, the white accent dots on those were actually done in this same way. Normally I use a white gel pen, but if you want a really bright contrasting look, I would go for this acrylic paint. So here's our card. I really love how this mixed media background turned out. It's so full of layers and different textures, even though it's one dimension. So I hope you enjoyed this video and this technique. If you did, please be sure to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And be sure to be subscribed to Trinity Stamps YouTube channel as well for crafty videos almost every day. Also, please be sure to check out our Facebook group, Imagination, Inspiration, and Conversation, for more crafty fun. As always, thank you for watching and have a great day.